that it was an insulting offer.
How do we create those opportunities? That's what we need to focus on.
I think every WNBA player, a goal of theirs is to be an All-Star.
We have Odessa Jenkins here.
I was considered the best in the world and no one had ever given me anything. It's really special that it was a woman who was so successful in another place in her career.
We are back with season 2. It's Lauren Duletzke.
And I'm Jacki G.
And this is the Click Clack Podcast. Welcome back, our clackers. We missed you.
We sure did.
We took the week off last week because it was a holiday.
As did most other podcasts.
And we enjoyed ourselves, did some downtime. But we're so happy to be back with you guys. And as always, just a reminder, if you haven't liked and subscribed our page, please do, because we want to keep you with us. We're growing. We're really excited about it, but you are the reason we are here.
Absolutely. Like and subscribe. Thank you very much.
I feel like I just saw you.
That's because you did. We spent 4th of July together.
We sure did.
Lucky
and it was
us.
Jacki and Lauren on a boat. Just imagine.
Yeah.
It was amazing. We're going to talk more about that at the end of this episode.
Yeah,
but
absolute fun. That's all I can say.
So much fun. That was just an amazing time to be with friends and just relax a little bit. It was a good day. Really good day. But I am so happy to be back in the hot seat with you.
Me too, girl.
I've been missing us recording.
Same.
It's been good. And there's been so much going on, as always, in
Yeah.
women's sports. We've got a big list today.
We do. It's a big WNBA list. I mean, let's call it what it is. It's a very high point right now in the WNBA season. There's so many things going on. I know we want to touch on a lot of different topics.
We should basically just call the next section of the drip the W drip today.
Yeah, I'm with that. Let's do it.
All right, drip drop. Let's go.
Drippity drop.
Drip. So Jacki, I know there's a lot of news right now in the WNBA beyond the games that are happening.
Right.
Can you talk to us a little bit about what's going on?
Yeah, so I think one major thing that's going on right now is the CBA agreement, and basically the WNBPA, which is the Players Association, rejected the first CBA offer from the league. For those of you that don't know what the CBA is, it is the collective bargaining agreement, and it's basically just an agreement that the league and the Players Association. So the T is basically the players felt like it didn't address core player demands. For example, revenue sharing, salary increases, roster depth, travel upgrades, and media rights involvement. A couple players made statements. Satu Sabali basically just said that it was an insulting offer. Brianna Stewart said that players felt very ignored and they were frustrated that none of their priorities were reflected.
Yeah, and this is from my understanding, and I'm a novice here, so I'm trying to understand it from more the fan perspective. But my understanding is that everybody's saying these players need to get paid more.
Mm-hmm.
They're saying it, the fans are saying it, everybody's saying it, especially with the growth of the W and what we're seeing across the board. And basically, the league is saying no to that first offer.
Yeah. Pretty
Fascinating.
much. And I think another key point in all of this is the WNBA secured an 11-year, multi-billion-dollar media rights deal, and it's expanding to 18 teams by 2030. So big key factor there.
Well, and not to mention that it seems like every day I wake up and a new brand is like, we're partnering with the WNBA.
Right.
I mean, there has to be so much money coming in, from Pottery Barn to Fenty to Sephora. Like, we've talked about these brands in the past. And I think the challenge that, just like in any corporation, is the transparency of like, okay, if you're not going to pay us more, where is that money going?
100%. And I think a lot of us are sitting with that question because I don't know that personally yet. I think that a lot of that is going to be revealed, and also to note 80% of players in the WNBA are going to be free agents after this season. So this new CBA is so important, and a lot of players are expecting salaries to go up, X3. And that anticipation is weighing heavy on a lot of these players.
Yeah.
I also think a lot of the players are anticipating a lockout, and they're preparing for a potential lockout, even though the goal is to try and get everything situated and handled by October. There's still a high chance that there could be a lockout, and players are definitely preparing for that.
Has this ever happened before?
No, there has never been a lockout in the WNBA. I believe there's been one on the NBA side.
So this is a very big inflection point for the WNBA, especially on the heels of what is no doubt going to be an insane All-Star game. There's viewership, awareness, excitement, fan engagement. Then you go into the championships, which are in September, right?
Yeah.
At the end of September. and then the CBA comes up,
Yeah.
it feels like there's so much tension building.
Oh, there definitely is. The next big meeting is going to be at All-Star weekend, so we can prepare for hopefully some more insights and things that come out of that meeting. Leaders from the PA like Neko Gumake, Brianna Stewart, the PA representative Terry Jackson, they're all going to be in this meeting basically going head to head with the league.
God, I'd love to be a fly on the wall in that room.
Honestly, me too.
But no, I mean, I think it's going to be super important. And I think, I don't know, what do you think, Jack, about, as a former player? I can kind of imagine where your head is as far as where you sit on which side of the coin. So tell me, like, as a former player, what's your point of view there?
So I think as a former player, we've always voiced our opinions about wanting more pay and having a higher salary. I think that's always been something we've tried to advocate for, but it's never really been a serious topic or conversation. Now, with how everything has been going, it is more crucial than ever for these players to get what they deserve. Like you said, bringing in so much more revenue, it's an actual business now, and we need the players to see those earnings because they deserve it. They're the reason why it's all happening. I think a lot of players have had to get income elsewhere, not just their WNBA salary, but whether it's playing Unrivaled now or Athletes Unlimited or going overseas. I had to play basketball year round. I never had a break. I had to go from WNBA season straight to overseas, back to WNBA straight to overseas, and I never had a break physically on my body because I had to play year round. And when I say that there were days in between that I had to repack and go and get on the next flight and go to the next country, it was literally days. Sometimes we would fight for a week in between seasons, and that was a push. But that was just so taxing and physically hard on my body, and probably why I had a shorter career than I wanted. But again, just the stress, the mental stress on top of that too, it was so hard. Players in my age group probably experienced a lot. Now there's other options and other leagues here in the US. The WNBA is not making enough money where the players can just play the WNBA season and then chill for the off season. You still want to make money elsewhere, so you need to consider these other leagues or going overseas. You're compromising your body. If you get injured playing in a game in Athletes Unlimited or overseas, your contract for the next year in the WNBA is not protected.
Oh, boy.
So if you play an Unrivaled, they now will protect your WNBA salary for the following year, which is a huge deal. It is the only league and the only option right now where they are protecting your salary in case of an injury, which is huge. And I think that's the precedent that they should set and the standard that they should set for these other leagues, and also something that overseas should look at. Or, more players are going to continue to not play overseas. That's already a situation where a lot of these players aren't going overseas anymore. Even more are not going to go if they know and they understand the risk of their salaries not being protected for the following year.
That is so wild to me, Jack.
So imagine every year I went to play overseas, I was risking not being able to play. And there was a few times where I did get injured overseas and I wasn't able to play in the WNBA that year because my knee was injured or whatever it was. So I had to sit out that WNBA season.
It's just, the more I hear these stories and I learn about what the players go through, you realize it's such high risk, high reward potential. Mm-hmm. It takes a really special individual like yourself to succeed through that and have a career even with all of the setbacks.
For sure.
So many other women have those stories. I also feel like it is our duty as fans to keep helping these women drive energy around their stories out of the season.
Such a good point.
Because to me, that's where they could make, even through digital media experiences and events, public speaking, without overtaxing your body. How do we create those opportunities? That's what we need to focus on as a society.
I think, we talk about the WNBA side, but the NBA side, they play their season and they make millions and millions of dollars, so they're able to have an off season, an actual off season, and work on their bodies and, put hundreds of thousands of dollars into recovery. They get to stay home. They get to stay in America. They get to do player development stuff and work on aspects of their game that you don't get to do when you're playing in a different season. They get to recover, making sure their bodies are in shape for the following season. It's such a different world, and the guys are really lucky.
That's insane, Jack.
No, it really is. So I'm Just really putting my faith into the league and crossing my fingers and hoping that it's in favor for the players.
Well, I think the fans are going to get more involved than ever before.
Oh, for sure.
I'm already fired up about wanting to support these women. I fully understand coming from corporate America and understanding the expenses and how you build a business that can operate, make money, and be cash flow positive. Things we don't talk about in sports necessarily. Everybody's just talking about the W's. I hope to see more transparency around how those funds are being allocated.
Yes, you said it. Like, hopefully we're going to get some more information on that. But one other thing to note that I think is super important. Right now, I believe 9% of revenue goes to the players on the W side, whereas on the NBA side, 50% goes to players. So there's such a huge gap there. I do think that however they decide to allocate the money and figure it out, there's going to have to be an explanation. So we're going to get some sort of information.
Yeah. I also want to quickly click into your comment about 80% of the players going into free agency. We are very excited about Portland. We're here in Portland, Oregon, getting a WNBA team, and we're going to get expansion draft this year. And there's so much potential for players to move around and really shake some stuff up, which changes the fabric of the league because it takes time to build a team and dynamics. But to your point, this is why it's crucial for them to lock in this deal, because if they don't, it could create a very difficult next season.
Completely agree. And like you said, just so many different layers and factors of things that are going to potentially be harmed in the event that this lockout happens.
Yeah. Thanks for the overview on that, Jack, because I think for fans like me, I'm really fascinated by the dynamics of what happens behind the scenes. And I think you have such a great finger on the pulse, especially as a former player and an agent. So I just think you have a really unique point of view on it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate that.
Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, let's see. Cross our fingers.
Ooh, excited.
Come home with some tea from the All-Star.
I'm excited, but I am a little bit intrigued to see how this all plays out.
Intrigued is a really good word.
Yeah,
I like that.
That's the right word. So I think this is a good segue into our second topic, which is All-Stars. We talked about how there is going to be a CBA negotiation at the All-Stars. That's going to be definitely a more serious conversation.
For sure.
But we're going to talk about the lighter-hearted part of All-Stars, which is the significance of this moment for the W.
Yeah.
Jack, can you talk a little bit about what is All-Stars? What does it mean to the league and why is it important?
The WNBA All-Star game is a midway point in the WNBA season, and it is a time where players are represented who've had really great seasons so far. I'll break down the way voting works. So basically, 50% of the votes come from fans, and 25% come from current players and media.
Okay, I want to dig in a little bit on the fan vote of it all because as a fan, I was watching early voting. And I think something that really stood out to me was that I think the data point was in 2023, I don't think any of the players, or they barely broke 100,000 early votes.
That's crazy.
This year, the votes had gone up to all the way, I think Caitlin was somewhere around 525. Nafisa was just south of that.
Yeah.
That growth from an early voting perspective is another signal of fan engagement. This is the fan engagement moment where fans get to really actively participate, at least online, in what this game is going to look like. And to me, that was so exciting to see. When we finished, which was recently, the votes for the top two, so the two captains, Nafisa Collier, one of my faves, Caitlin Clark, also love Caitlin, was well over 1 million for both.
The top 10 players in the voting category are the starters, right? Essentially, 5 starters for one team, 5 starters for the other team. Caitlin and Nafisa led the way with a crazy amount of votes. So they are named captains, and then they're also able to choose the rest of their team. Caitlin Clark chose 2 of her teammates in Indiana, Kelsey Mitchell and Aaliyah Boston. She also chose Sabrina Ionescu. Nafisa chose her teammate Courtney Williams and Brianna Stewart, her business partner.
I'm seeing them play makes me happy.
Yeah, so I think, the teams are set and it looks pretty even. It looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. The remaining votes come from the 13 head coaches around the league, and each coach is not allowed to choose someone from their own team. The rest of the 12 players, which are considered, I believe, the reserve players, but just the rest of the team, they're chosen by head coaches.
And there were 3 rookies that made it this year, which was a pretty big deal to have that many rookies on the roster.
So we've got Kiki Uriafen, and then you've got Sonia Citron and Paige Beckers. And I'd actually be curious to see if, the last time there's been 3 rookies.
Yeah, that'd be super interesting. I love seeing Paige get the call It was
Yeah.
such a special moment, and I love that we're capturing those moments because you
Same.
get to see
Yeah.
what does it look like. It's like getting the job, right? Or getting that, and I loved that moment. We shared that on our social because it was just really special. These women deserve all of that attention.
Absolutely. I think every WNBA player that is serious about what they do, a goal of theirs is to be an all-star. That is just such a huge time in someone's career. So many opportunities come from that weekend too. It's not just the glitz and the glamour, but there's a lot of brands that are activating in these spaces too. An opportunity for players to earn more money, make more money, become more visible to brands because so many brands are in one place at one time, and it's just a really exciting time. And then you look at the flip side and kind of the negative side to it, and then you see the players that you feel like got snubbed.
Who
And
do you feel like got snubbed this year?
yeah, I think there's a few. I would say Natasha Cloud from the New York Liberty.
She's amazing. A really good one.
Brianna Jones from Atlanta. She's had an amazing season so far. You've got Brittany Sykes from the Washington Mystics, who's been a crucial piece for them and helped them win a lot of games this season. Azure Stevens from LA, who's had an amazing season as well. There's Arike Gumawale from Dallas. She's been an all-star multiple times in the past. Some players out there feel like they deserve to be an all-star, which I do believe that they've had the season to get crowned that all-star, but they weren't, and that's just the way it is, and that's politics, and that's how things happen.
More fuel for next year.
More fuel for next year.
You'll be an all-star in my heart and my mind.
For sure.
I want to end this section by saying these are my Met Gala moments where I get to see all the fashion on display.
I know you love that.
I cannot wait to see what people are wearing. I definitely have some of my favorites. Angel, can't wait to see what you're wearing.
She's going to show up and show out.
I love Paige's style. I just think, and also just, I know there's going to be players there that maybe aren't playing in the game, but they're to support.
Yeah, for sure.
Can't wait to see what they're wearing. I imagine the looks I would wear if I ever got to go to All-Star.
Well, speaking of fashion at All-Star, you are going to help dress me. Because I will be there, and I'm going to need my personal style.
We might hit Zara. We might hit some unexpected places, though.
You might hit Nordstrom's.
You never know. The key to style, in my opinion, is how to pick something that has a story. What is that story that you want to tell?
Yeah.
And huge. I think that's what's the difference when I look at someone who I'm like, okay, someone obviously styled them and there's no story there, who just put them in labels, versus someone who really intentionally picked these pieces to both celebrate who they are, because your body's your canvas.
I love that.
I have so many ideas for you.
I know. And you do this daily in your outfits. Very intentional about every single thing. I'm here for it, girl. You're hired.
I'll take it.
Let's go.
Job accepted. So we've talked about some serious hot topics in the W.
Yep.
Very premium elite women's basketball. Now we're going to take it to the community.
Let's do it.
Because honestly, that's also what I get super excited about. Jacki and I just hosted our first ever Click Clack Hooper camp. We partnered with Lewis and Clark and Moolah Kicks. Moolah Kicks is a growing brand for women's footwear and basketball, made for women by women, engineered for women's feet. Lewis and Clark is an amazing D3 women's basketball program here, led by Coach Ann Eldoris. Ann, what's up? We
shout out to
love
Ann.
you.
You're the best, Ann.
She's an all-star in my mind.
Yeah, me too.
We hosted over 60 girls for a free camp experience over 2 days. And man, I just got chills even saying that, because I'm remembering the energy we felt in the gym. And most importantly, we had Coach Jacki there to have a really amazing experience with these girls and teach them some really basic skills. So what was your vibe, Jack?
Yeah, well said, Lauren. I think for everyone involved in that camp, we all felt so inspired, and it was just such a positive atmosphere. Everyone was there. They had one mission, and that was to give an experience to these young kids that they'll never forget. And I think we did a really good job doing that. I remember growing up in all the camps that I attended, we never had a pro athlete experience there. I never remember that growing up. So I was putting myself in their shoes, and even though I wasn't some huge high-profile WNBA athlete, did I play in the league? Yes. And I think just having that, and for them to see that and hopefully take that experience and use it, I just hope that they were left with something. To the bigger meaning of the camp was, I'm a hooper, right? And I think you did such a good job emphasizing that we're more than our sport. What else are you? And having these kids sit there and think about it. What else are you besides a hooper? And write it down on your shirt and really think about it. I think that was such a key moment for the camp, and such a huge experience that we were able to bring them. And honestly, I would argue that was probably their favorite part of the camp. And I think that is a testament to you and what you bring out in these kids. We're not just there for the basketball experience, and for me as the former player, we're also there for everything that you contributed to that camp, and I want to give you your flowers.
Oh, you're going to make me cry. I still think about these girls, and the energy was so palpable. And I know you downplay yourself because you're so humble, but truly, when I tell you guys, the girls were flocking to Jacki. Like, she was like the superstar. It was so special to see. And it just reminds us of how important representation is in these very community-oriented moments. It's really easy for brands and for people to invest in the biggest, most scalable opportunity where you can make the most money and reach the most people. But these core moments that impact at the community level are so important. And that is what we are here for.
For sure.
And yes, it's a lot of work to try and reach these girls, get them here, coordinate everything. But honestly, I have not felt that fulfilled in a long time as I did at that camp.
Same. The reward is...
It's so big.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the first of many that we're going to do over time, and different types of experiences where we not just talk the talk here on the show, but we walk the walk, as our fearless leader Chow always talks about. It's really important to us to give back to our community. We really hope that as these women get, these women athletes get more opportunity, more money, that we have to reinvest that back into the community too. I don't want to gender this, but I do think that's where women have a leg up on men. There is a huge energy around investing in women and the potential of what women can do.
Yeah.
And these girls were the manifestation of that for our future. I also just want to give a quick shout out to Guillermo, who's an amazing reporter from KATU, one of our biggest local news stations here, who came out and did an amazing story for us. And he just got us. You could tell that he was so moved by these kids. I was really moved by that.
I think he got us because he took the time to get us. I think that's really important.
So intentional.
And I think the way he put together our story was absolutely perfect. Like you said, shout out to him.
We love you, Guillermo.
Thank you, Guillermo. Appreciate you.
That was definitely a huge highlight of the last month of Click Clack. Can't wait to follow the journeys of some of these girls. A shout out to everybody who was involved, from Lewis and Clark to Mula. Our whole team that really rallied behind it showed up. Claire Hamill, the WNBA new president in Portland, showed up, stayed the whole first night. I mean, just really important people there at this community level.
One more person to shout out, the assistant GM for the Portland Trailblazers. He brought his daughter as well, and he heard about the camp through the grapevine. So again, like you said, just some really great quality people in Portland. And for Claire to show up too, that's the new W president for the Portland franchise. That is not a small thing.
And she hugged literally everyone. And I was so impressed by her. That's a lot of people to hug.
Sure.
Great experience. And I'm so glad I got to do it with you.
Me too, girl. Okay, Elle, is it that time?
We are bringing on an amazing woman today. Odessa Jenkins. She is the founder of WNFC, which is the Women's National Football Conference. It's one of the fastest growing football leagues for women, both tackle and flag. I have been wanting to talk to Odessa for so long. I'm really excited.
Same. Let's get her in here.
We are so lucky, everybody. We have Odessa Jenkins here. She's the founder of WNFC. Odessa, are you with us?
I'm here.
And remind us where you're joining today.
I'm coming in from lovely Dallas, Texas. It's hot.
We'd love to jump right into some questions with you. The first question being, if you could just explain to everyone, what is the WNFC and why is it important?
The WNFC is the Women's National Football Conference. It is a premier professional women's tackle football league with a mission to accelerate financial equity for women in football. The most important part about the WNFC is that we exist to ensure that every girl, every woman knows that nothing is off limits to her, whether that be football or anything else. We do it through the power of football, but we're important because we want every woman to know, every girl to know that nothing is off limits to you. You can do it all.
That's amazing. That's something we are very passionate about here on Click Clack too. So take us through the journey of WNFC. We've obviously become huge fans over the last year. We've talked to people from the Ravens here in Portland, also people up in Seattle for the Majestics, huge fans. And we know that building a league takes a tremendous amount of effort, from capital to team, you name it. So take us a little bit back to the journey, and then also help us understand what has been the tipping point for WNFC as far as this incredible trajectory of growth you guys have had.
Yeah, really good question. I think for us, this journey all starts with the people who operate the WNFC or who founded this company. We're all ball players and coaches. And so it's a really fun mission that we started because we all wanted to solve a problem for ourselves. And some of our greatest companies in America and in the world started because the founder wanted to solve a problem for the people they loved or for themselves. And so that's how the WNFC started. I was a football player. I played in a bunch of leagues, amateur leagues, club leagues, city leagues, local leagues. And then I ended up playing for the US national team. I was lucky enough to get an internship in the NFL and be one of the first women to coach in the NFL. Through all of those achievements in football, I was considered the best in the world, and no one had ever given me anything or recognized me, or no brand recognition. I didn't want that to be the future for women who decided to play tackle football. Neither did a bunch of women who were around me, including my wife, who was the best offensive lineman in the world at the time. And so we started the WNFC because we wanted to leave women's football better than we found it. And we wanted to specifically be focused on creating the world's first sports property that was a women's tackle football league. And I'd say the tipping point was probably last season because it led to everything that's happening this season. We raised our first round of capital. We were the first for-profit women's tackle league to raise a seed round, get outside investors, somebody else believing in us. And then all the things that have happened this year: record attendance, record viewership, TV, streaming deals, brand partnerships, fan engagement, digital engagement. Our growth is off the charts, but I think it really all started last year when Don Sherman invested $1 million in the league.
Can you tell us who Don Sherman is?
Sherman, shout out to Don Sherman. Yeah.
Who is this Don Sherman? We're fans.
Yeah.
He's a career corporate executive, CEO, board member who's had a tremendous career in the healthcare industry. Someone that I met early in my career in healthcare technology, and someone who was a mentor to me. And when I left healthcare, sort of watched me go along my athletic journey, and we kept in touch. And she was becoming this super powerhouse CEO, executive, board member, and all of these companies. And I was off building other companies. When I built the WNFC, we came together because I was doing some speaking engagement work for one of the companies she was leading. She asked me, what does the WNFC need to take a shot at it? And I said, we need an investment. They're our first investor. Someone who has invested in hundreds of companies. She's an investor, a visionary. And I'm so glad it was her to be the first to make a bet on this. That bet has paid off. She now owns a team in the WNFC, the Jersey Shore Wave. She's really kicked off other investments that have been made. We've added new teams, the Golden State Storm out there in Northern California. That wouldn't happen if Don wouldn't have invested in this league. Things are going good, and I'm really thankful for the first person external to the business to invest in the business. It's really special that it was a woman who was so successful in another place in her career.
Yeah, Odessa, I find it amazing. Like, you've been able to take your own experience and try to make it better for the next generation, for the upcoming athletes that are trying to be something great in this sport. I think it's a really cool thing, and everything that you've done is really incredible.
And this is just the beginning. I'm sure there's been years of blood, sweat, and tears that have gone into building this. Building a company is no joke, and especially a sports company. You have to have players, build talent pool, get capital, merchandise, TV deal. It is a complex business model. We're going to look back in 10 years at what you've built with WNFC and the opportunities for these players. And even women like us, frankly, never really even thought about women's tackle football, which is a shame. And now it's like, imagine my daughter who's 6 years old who gets to grow up with more tackle football players and flag football players. I get very excited about that.
Yeah, it's pretty amazing to think about where the sport is. You mentioned flag football. One of the things that everyone used to be worried about when it came to football is the pipeline, right? Like, boys here in Texas start playing football when they're like 6 months old. Boys have pee-wee, then junior high school football, then high school football, then college. They've had 100 years of this beast that's been built to help them build a pipeline. And that was missing for women. There's no schools and secondary education opportunities to play football, but now there are. More girls are playing football and picking up footballs than ever in the history of the world. And so it's a really fun thing where those girls who are playing flag and playing any other sport are now saying, wait a minute, like, why does my brother get to play tackle football, but I don't? What is the limitation again? And so that has done a tremendous amount of awareness for us in the WNFC.
Odessa, I have to say, growing up, I did play flag football with all the boys, and I was probably just as good as a QB, if not better than a majority of them out there. But I just never thought of it as an opportunity to really be able to do it and make a serious living out of it.
Yeah.
But looking back on it, I'm like, dang, if I would have actually had more opportunities, I probably would have invested more time there.
Yeah, and it's the first thing that stops families is they think, okay, like, so I'm going to keep my daughter in football. What is that going to do for her? So that's why it's really important for us to build up the WNFC. I've done these interviews and I've gotten a lot of criticism because I'm always talking about the business, the business, the business. But I think unless there is something for people to invest in, to watch, you know what I mean? We should be talking this way about what we want to go create for the girls and the women who are coming next.
Something we talk a lot about in our brand is what happens after sports. And that's why we feel it's so important for women to be seen as multidimensional beings, because sport is a big part of our identity, but we also have so many other things that make us special. I try and think a lot about how sports is going to help shape them into a healthy, happy adult and help them gain the skills that they need to succeed in their life. And that's what I think more parents need to be talking about with their kids.
Listen, there's a reason why the great majority of C-suite executives who are women have played team sports. It's something like 80%. But the other thing that's really important for parents and for girls to realize, like, there's always a way for you to get your coin. Professional female athletes don't make enough just from playing their sport to sustain themselves. Like, I've employed Olympians. So to think that, especially in today's world where you can turn on your camera and make a buck, where you can get an NI deal, a brand deal, like the way you make money in sports has changed. If your daughter can ball, let her ball, because it's going to do nothing but help her.
That's so true. And I think what's really interesting is we just hosted a girls' camp for about 60 girls. It was a basketball camp here in Portland. And talking to these young girls and hearing about the things that motivate them. I mean, these are 2, 3, 4 sport girls. These were 3rd graders to 7th graders, and the joy that sport brings them. How do we not lose that? And I think WNFC and even some of the players I've had the chance to meet through your organization play for the love of the sport, not just for the money. And yes, to your point, there's always ways to make money. But as a society, I think we need to get back to the joy of sport and why sport exists in the first place.
Right on. And I think the other element that's really important in tackle football is body confidence and this revolution that we need to have as women to say beauty is beauty and we get to do it how we do it. In the WNFC, there are 22 women on the field at any time. They're all heights, they're all weights, they're all sizes, they're all shapes. And that message needs to be made by us, not by anybody else, but women. We need to tell other women and we need to tell girls that it's cool to be however you want to be.
Well said, Odessa. I'm going to jump into the next question. How do you address the stigma of women in aggressive sports?
Head on. Head on.
I figured.
Head on. I'm like, yeah, bring it on. I think the idea of hiding from your authentic self is wild to me. I've never understood it. When you think about aggressive personalities in general, they're more likely to play contact sports. They're more likely to enjoy contact and be connected to it. But when it comes to the stigma of women, like the idea that all women who play basketball or football are gay, or, only way you can be good at football is if you're some studly, masculine, aggressive woman. I think those ideas and fighting that, it's important to recognize it and identify it, but it's also important to recognize that beauty and marketability come in many different flavors. The beauty of the internet, and I know a lot of people don't think it's beautiful, but the beauty of the internet and social media is that you really get to open up yourself to the world to say, if you don't like it, someone does. I try not to get into the comment section as the CEO of the league. This is my baby. Any startup owner out there knows it. When somebody gives you a bad review or someone's commenting, when I see the go make a sandwich or the, using he, him pronouns when they know that these are women, doing things to those stigmas and stereotypes, I go right at it, call people out, because it's really, really important to make people stand 10 toes down on the idea that if you only think stigmatism when it comes to seeing a woman play football, then how do you see the people in your household? You truly are telling your daughters, your moms, your aunts that this is for men and these things are for women. And if you've designated certain things to only be for men, then we need to take a look at what men are doing.
100%.
Totally.
I think what you just described is the most important opportunity for women's sports, which is to destigmatize what it looks like to play as a woman. We always talk about, if you want to wake up and run in sneakers and then wear heels, great. If you never wear heels a day in your life, that's also great. I think it's so important. This is why a woman investing in you and women creating more platforms and spaces to tell these stories and inspire and show the duality of women in sports, that's going to change for the next generation. And we all just have to keep pushing and keep pushing out those stereotypes, because I have many friends who have said, oh, I never played basketball because my mom said that was like a boys sport, or never like even touched a football because only boys played football. But that's all changing. And I think what you guys have done at WNFC is such a catalyst for what's going to exist 15 years from now.
Yeah, and to keep politics out of sports, people are the first people to put politics in sport. These women in the WNFC are some of the most impressive, powerful, smart, strategic, strong athletes you'll ever see in the world. They are not here to appease you from a gaze standpoint. They're beautiful, but that's not what football is about. I understand being marketable, but what it means to be marketable and what it means to align to one way of beauty is another thing. This current generation is buying into the WNFC because they don't give a shit. They care about the game. They care about excitement. They find their favorite players. They buy their jerseys. And a lot of men's sports have had hundreds of years to ingrain themselves into the family. And now women's sports is ingraining itself into the culture in a really different way. That excites me. I recognize the stigma of women playing contact sports. I also recognize that we can completely grow with that stigma.
Absolutely. I think that's a really good segue. The athlete stories are really what has drawn me to become obsessed with watching professional sports. I've become so obsessed with the WNFC because I see the spectrum of players and how they show up both on the field. They're just fierce and incredible at their performance. But then also they have these other lives where they share their stories. And, there's one story like of Pow Pow to me, who's on the Majestics, where she was on the field with her football wearing her heels, just showing her power. It was so amazing. And it just gives me chills. I want to hear from you. What is a story from this last season? Because we know you just had the championships. It was such an amazing championship season for you guys. What was a story from this season that truly deeply moved you from one of your athletes or multiple of your athletes?
Yeah, shout out to Pow Pow. She has an amazing story. I would probably say the two quarterbacks that played in the championship game, Angel from Texas Elite and Clark from the Washington Prodigy. One of my favorite things, and I think that's unique and going to grow the WNFC, is exactly what you're talking about. Every kind of woman that you can imagine is represented in this league. They all are on the field at the same time. It's a wild thing. International star, moms, aunts, they're all there. But with Clark and Angel, both of them had this interesting trajectory to professional football, and both happened to probably demonstrate and displayed some of the best football the world has ever seen on ESPN2. Clark is a PhD level educator. I think she's got like 3 degrees, played college sports, always wanted to play football, started playing flag, found her way into the WNFC, and is living her football dream. Angel is someone who's always wanted to play football, undersized, is a mom, a California girl who really thought football player is the title she's always wanted, even though she's had to do other things. Both of these amazing women, this scholar, this mom, all colliding with their stories to end up on the field together and completely ball out. They're so different in the way they look and play, but it all merged into them competing for a 9 cup. Stories like that give me chills because both of those women sacrificed so much to be on this stage.
It's literally the definition of a multi-dimensional woman. So that's a really cool story. I'm glad you shared that with us. Thank you.
I feel like my heart wants to have you in the studio someday because we could talk to you for so long. If you ever want to come out to Portland, you know we're getting a WNBA team next year too.
That's
I know
true.
you're a hooper
I'm about
and
that
a football player.
I'm about that action. Make it happen.
We got to make it happen. But thank you for coming on our show and giving us an inside look at WNFC and the incredible organization you're building. We are so excited what the future of the sport looks like. I mean, to me, this is the definition of when women can be fierce and feminine at the same time and resonate however they want and just completely change the landscape of sport. So thank you for coming on our show and just giving us a window into the amazing company and movement you are building for women in sports.
Thank you for having me. I
Yeah,
appreciate
you were
it.
awesome. Thank you so much. Okay, Elle, what did you think about Odessa? I thought she was amazing, but I want to hear your thoughts.
I was sad to not have her in the studio because I
Right.
could have talked to her all day about her mission, her experience. She moved me. You can't fake that.
No.
You can tell she lives and breathes women's sports, elevating women, helping women. I think that's why we got into this business, to create a space and a platform for women. And what she is doing, to your point, is a tall order to rebuild, to build, and to shift a cultural norm for football that has been antiquated for so long. If anybody can do it, she can, because she has the vision and knows how to run this like a business. She also is empathetic and knows how to relate to the players.
She's also lived it.
She's lived it.
She's played the sport. She's, hasn't gotten a lot of things that she's deserved in her career. I think it's just so great when players can use their own experience and try to help the next generation. You see it with leagues like Unrivaled with, Breonna Stewart and Nafisa Collier trying to make other options for players so they don't have to go overseas. Her vision, she's a trailblazer and she's just doing really cool stuff.
Multidimensional woman.
Absolutely.
Far. And I do think for me, the last thing I'll say is I thought her point about there's so many ways to make a buck now. And that we need to build something that lasts and obviously drives revenue and helps eventually pay the players, all of those things. But the joy of sport and having an outlet for community, to succeed, to perform, all of these things, they're giving that to so many women who want to see this equity in this sport, who want to have a place for representation.
Yeah.
And that's going to change the world, in my opinion, more than like a brand deal, you know?
Totally.
So I'm deeply moved and an even bigger fan now.
Yeah, so am I. I loved her story about the 2 quarterbacks. I thought that was super cool. Just very multi-dimensional women that could be doing so many different other things, but want to dedicate their life to playing football, and now they have the option to.
Yep. And shout out to my moms out there that are playing football. You are freaking badass. That's all I have to say.
Love that. It's our favorite part of the episode.
Yes, here we go.
Let's get into our slam dunks and air balls. I like to start off with my air ball. It's easier for me to get the bad out and then end with the good.
Love that.
So I'll just go ahead and shoot off my air ball of the week. Nothing crazy, but it's just something that I remember and I was like, damn, that sucks. Carla and I went on a walk. It's really hard for me to get her to go on walks with me around the neighborhood. I love my neighborhood walk. It's like 1.4 miles, nothing too crazy. We got some hills here and there, but not bad. It's very beautiful. It's very peaceful. I always tell myself when I'm on this walk, I'm going to pack on years of my life if I keep doing this walk once a day.
Love that.
Long story short, I got Carla to come with me. We got to a certain part of the walk. We're almost home. And here comes a garden snake. Roly-polied his ass out right in front of us, right in front of our little toes, right in front of our feet.
Roly-polied?
Yeah, roly-polied, scooted his little ass right in front of us, freaked Carla out. She freaked. She was like, I'm never going on this walk with you again. It was this whole thing, and I was just so bummed. I finally got her, and I thought I was going to reel her in, and then the garden snake just screwed everything up.
Damned garden snakes.
They are just slithery, and they just fucking roly-polied his ass out.
I can literally painted a picture where I felt like I was following.
Good, I'm glad. That was the point. Anyways, moving on. What's your airball?
Okay, so my airball is also, well, it's bug related, but so it's kind of a classic Oregon thing that come summer, people get insane ants. Like, it's just a thing here.
It's fucked. I hate ants.
These sugar ants.
What's a sugar ant?
They're like these teeny tiny little ants, and they just all just like swarm.
The difference between normal ants?
I don't know, but they're just small. They're very drawn to sugar. I mean, that's my guess. I'm not like
sugar ants.
Yeah, sugar ants. Okay, that's, you know, whatever. But so I have 2 dogs. They're small. Their bowls are like close to the ground, and I'm not like, I can't handle dirty things every try and clean as much as I can, even though I have kids.
You've got such a clean house.
Yes, I would agree. But I have to clean this goddamn dog bowl like 7 times a day because these goddamn ants.
Fuck that.
That's a lot of goddams, but I cannot handle it.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
The sugar ants are too much for me now.
Coming towards water bowls.
I think we've had a really high pollen season. We've talked about that on the show. I think they're also swarming up because it's really hot outside. So they come into the houses where it's cool.
I gotta get my ant spray out.
Anyway, I am like, Nick, who do I need to call? I will spend whatever I need to spend to get these goddamn ants out of my house.
Exterminator. Put them on speed dial.
My kids and I watched Honey, I Shrunk the Kids the other day.
Oh, classic.
And they become friends with an ant. And all I could think of was like, I killed that little ant.
That huge ant. God, that's such a good huge ant.
So good. Anyway, so that was my airball of the week. So we got snakes and ants. That's all we got.
Those snakes and those ants.
Poor us. Look at us.
We're fine though. We're here. Okay,
bougie bitches over here.
Yeah. I'm gonna jump into my slam dunk, leave us on a high note. Got to spend 4th of July weekend with you and your husband and my beautiful wife. We were on a boat in Lake Oswego, had a great time. It was a perfect day, perfect evening. You, me, and Carla were in the front of the boat, and there was like, you know, Nick driving and then a couple people in the back, and Nick had said to us more than once, there's too many people in the front of the boat. One of you guys is going to have to go to the back if you don't want to get wet. And we ignored him and just continued on with our conversation.
I was also pretty drunk, I'm not going to lie.
And we were cruising, you know, and then all of a sudden we hit a dip and hella water got in the boat.
We like almost fell out of it.
Right, and this, you would think this is an airball, but it's not. My slam dunk out of the situation is Carla was sitting in front of me, Lauren was across from me, and Carla shielded me from every ounce of water that got in that boat. I barely got a drip, and she just took it all. She was soaked, you were soaked, and I was dry.
And the funniest part is Carla is in this gorgeous outfit with a Louis Vuitton bag across her
looking
body.
classy,
just looking so beautiful. And she just gets wrecked. And Jacki's just looking at me like...
And I'm in some like scrub clothes looking a hot mess, and I'm just dry as hell. It was so good.
That's true love.
It is, but she didn't know she was shielding me until way later. She was like, what the hell?
And I was just laughing my ass off.
It was great.
That's rare for me. That's a good one. That's a very good one.
Thank you.
I was there and I witnessed it. It was very funny. I had a lot of slam dunks. There's just been some really good things. But my biggest slam dunk is, you know, now I'm talking the talk all the time about women's sports. And I found myself not participating as much as I wanted to be. I'm a big runner. I've talked about that. So out of the blue, I signed up for a half marathon on July 4th.
So glad you're talking about this. I was hoping this would be your slam dunk.
And I was so nervous because I hadn't really been training the way that I typically train for a race. And I had to harness my Amy Haas, race across the straits, one of our former, shout out Amy, we love you. And I just went for it. And I actually think I PR'd from last year when I did it. And I ran an 8:24. And I finished
8:24 pace.
Thank you. 8:24 pace. And I ran it in an hour and 50 minutes. And I think I got within the top 65 spots of all women out of like 500 plus. So, like,
that's
you know,
incredible.
Not like, it just was a huge accomplishment for me. I was crossing the finish line and my family wasn't able to be there, which is fine, but it was a moment for me.
That's so great.
And
I'm so happy for you.
So proud of myself. The reason I'm doing this and dedicating my career now to this even more is I want so many more girls to have that feeling.
Mm-hmm.
Even if they're not playing professional sports, like to have those moments of accomplishment with performance. Because for me, it was a win of the day, aside from getting to see you and spend time with the family and laugh our asses off.
I don't know how you were even standing after that race.
I mean, I just got real drunk.
Yeah, which I love.
And
I love that for you.
It was awesome. So anyways, if you are thinking about signing up for a race, but you're apprehensive because of training for whatever, just do it.
Yeah.
Just get after it.
Such
There's
a good
always a reason to drop out, and just don't do it. Go for it.
I think that's so great, Lauren. I'm so proud of you. I remember just a few days before the race, you were saying, oh, I don't think I'm going to PR, like, just kind of downplaying it and not hyping yourself up. And you surprised yourself, and just super pumped for you. I think that was just so great, and you killed it in your boss bitch.
Thank you. I
Love you.
And with that, this boss bitch needs some freaking food. I know we talk about this at the end of every episode, but I'm hungry.
Ravenous, I can tell.
We've got some really cool stuff coming up, including the July 15th event with the WNBA in Portland. If you are in Portland, there's going to be some amazing things coming your way.
Can't wait for July 15th. We're going to capture some dope and fire content there. There's just going to be so much that's going to happen. I'm so excited. Let's wrap this up.
Get some food.
This was a great day. Appreciate everyone listening. Hopefully you listened to the whole thing. We love you. Let's get out of here.